do me a favor. Whatever you do right now, do not F this up. Because right now, what we're seeing playing out across the crypto markets is exactly the same as what we've seen happen time and time again over the past few years. And guess what? Every single time we've seen it happen in the past, it has always resulted in exactly the same thing. The market's starting to get incredibly exciting once more. This time is no different, and I'm going to prove it to you in this video. I'm going to show you various different charts and indicators that tell us that the markets are about to move in a very big way. I'm also going to talk about why this move that we're seeing to the downside right now shouldn't really have come as too much of a surprise, and probably going to be able to tell you how much longer we're going to be sat in this calm period before the storm. Do me a favor, hit the like button. Let's get into today's video. Now guys, before we dive into those key charts and really understand what's been happening across the crypto space over the past few days and why everyone's probably overreacting, just a quick disclaimer. Nothing I say in this video is financial advice. Everything I say is for entertainment purposes only. If you wish to invest in crypto, you should understand that it's risky and you can lose lots of money. So don't use money that you can't afford to lose, and always do your own research before investing in anything. Oh, by the way, down below are links for various different exchanges and things that I use. They are affiliate links. So now that you know that, let's crack on with it. Now guys, for those of you who've been subscribed to the House of Crypto over the past few years, or just the last few weeks, you may have noticed that my backdrop is slightly different from normal. And that's because right now I'm in Seoul at the Korea Blockchain Week, trying to find out a little bit more what's going on behind the scenes in crypto so that I can share it with you, my faithful audience. And obviously, since I'm here right now, I've been pretty busy. I haven't really been paying any attention to the crypto charts. I haven't got any clue right now how much my portfolio is worth compared to what it was worth last week or the week before, because I don't check it every single day. I'm confident in where we're going. But I rolled across to Twitter to see what was going on yesterday evening. And my old mate, the Crypto Lark, had posted this post. And I was like, that's pretty cool little visual there. And I thought, he's talking about the bull run being over. So I went down into his comment section and was like, wow, something major must have just happened in crypto. I should probably check the charts because things sound like they've got pretty bad. I go straight across to the Bitcoin chart and I see that Bitcoin is down 2%. And I go down to Ethereum and I see that Ethereum has pulled back 3 or 4%. I go to Solana and I see, yeah, a reasonable little pullback here. But ultimately, from where we kind of were back in April, when these kind of like this phase of this run up started to begin for a lot of the larger cap altcoins at least, this little pullback is nothing particularly crazy. In fact, on Solana, it's no different from probably this one, or this one, or this one, or actually is much smaller than that one, which was pretty big, or maybe any of the others that we've seen multiple times over the past few months at least, and probably over the past few years. And actually, this time is pretty much exactly the same. So what on earth has happened? Well, if you were subscribed to my channel back on the 31st of July, there's a good chance that you probably saw this video. I talked about the 21st of September, so that the M2 money supply was having a pretty big pullback on the 83-day delay. But I told you more recently that I wasn't really certain because the M2 had basically decoupled from Bitcoin recently. Also, because the market wasn't too overly greedy, I said I was happy to just hold through the scenario. And despite the fact that we had a little bit of a pullback, I'm still quite happy that I've been holding. And that's predominantly because a lot of the altcoins that I've been holding, like Aether, etc., have barely really pulled back that much at all. And yes, there are coins that have had pretty healthy sell-offs, like Hyperliquid. Is it too late to get into Hyperliquid about 5 or 6 days ago? The answer was probably yes, but now you're lucky enough to have another decent entry on a coin that is likely going to perform well during this bull market. Why? Because Hyperliquid is a DEX. They have been making tons of money and they have a very healthy buyback program where they buy their tokens with the profits that they're making from their exchange, something that is very useful in disrupting that supply and demand model that is so key in driving successful projects. And that's why we've seen the likes of Aether and others that have strong fundamentals and strong tokenomics driving them up quite nicely. But why is there so much panic? Why is there so much fear in the markets? Well, because of various different factors. Confusion, of course. I'm pretty confident in my own ability to understand what's going on in the markets. While I can be wrong from time to time, I still have faith and belief in what's driving this market. Because what's driving this market isn't me, isn't some other influencer, isn't market makers, it isn't completely random. It is simply tied to what's going on in the global financial system. The global financial system dictates when we are risk off, markets like bonds and treasuries, etc., do well. When we are risk on, markets like Bitcoin and altcoins tend to do well. Right now, we are transitioning from a risk off period towards a risk on period. How do I know that? We've just had interest rate cuts. And also by referring to these images, which are from Real Vision, which comes from Raoul Pal, who's kind of like the macro expert of kind of the crypto influencer world, shall we say. He talks about GMI Financial Conditions Index, and that this basically front runs the ISM, which is the manufacturing index. And as you can see, this basically pushes higher and higher. Now, this is obviously going to be good for the ISM, which is the black line. Now, stick with me. Before this kind of like overtakes you and you think that this is boring and you don't care, let me just show you the next image, and it's this. The ISM is the black line, and in this one, the red line is altcoins as a percentage of Bitcoin. Now, this effectively indicates altcoin season. When ISM goes up, altcoins tend to go up. You get what I'm saying? ISM equals risk on conditions. Altcoins tend to equal risk on conditions, whereas Bitcoin is behaving a bit more like a gold 2.0. So bottom line up front, this is good. ISM is lagging this red line by 9 months. As you can see, this red line goes up, which tells you that the ISM is going up. And that's good because when the ISM goes up, altcoins as a percentage of Bitcoin go up. Because as we know, when the crypto markets are performing well in general, altcoins go up against Bitcoin. So why is everyone panicking? And why should we not be that concerned? Well, because this is exactly the same as what we've seen happen time and time and time again. Markets got greedy. Okay, what happens when markets get greedy? Prices get unstable. Now, many people out there are like, oh, the market makers will never allow us to have a bull market. They're the enemy. No, effectively, all that's happened is the market gets unstable. Think about something that goes up too fast. It gets a bit wobbly, doesn't have the support, doesn't have the time to be able to build its strength, okay? You need markets to have lots of spot buyers, people buying and holding for coins and things to progress higher over time. If the markets are way too over leveraged, it stops people spot buying and it drives the price up too quickly. This makes markets very unstable. Okay, so what we need is market makers to flush overly greedy markets and allow markets to slowly build as good liquidity comes into them. Which is why every time the market comes up a bit too fast, we can see liquidations happen. And over the past 24 hours or so, we have seen a record-breaking liquidation event. And all you can see here is all of those over-leveraged positions. This is Binance, Bitcoin versus USDT. You can see that the price of Bitcoin comes down into this big yellow area, indicating that there is a lot of people over-leveraged in here. Now, what does that tell us? It tells us that a lot of the over-leveraged positions have been swept out. Does it mean that it can't come down lower? No, it can come down a little bit more. But if there's not that much to liquidate down here, the price won't move down that much more because it is closer to its fair value. Fair value is literally the price that it should be at if there wasn't futures and things like that and everyone was just holding their coins. So all this is doing is effectively creating a much healthier market, one that can then continue back towards the upside. And the fact that everybody is absolutely panicking once again, despite the fact that literally this has happened to you last month, maybe the month before, multiple times, and every single time it's been happening to you over the past few months and years, the same result pretty much always happens in that the price rocks back towards the upside. Why would this time be any different? Okay, this is exactly the same. Now, what happens in the very short term, the next day, the next 2 days, I'm not really certain. Okay, but I don't need to be because that's not my job. I don't need to look at this chart in my portfolio every single day, praying and hoping that it doesn't come down a tiny bit lower because I'm not over leveraged, and neither should you be, and because I'm confident that the next continuation in the market, whether it happens next week, in October, November, December, January, whenever, is up. Whenever the market is overly greedy, and I don't mean like a little bit greedy like it has been in the last kind of few weeks or so, when the market is screaming for higher, then maybe we can change how we feel about things. Okay, but right now, situation has not changed. Okay, many of the altcoins that you've been paying attention to over the past few weeks, these have already told you which are going to be the top performers. What they've done is they've gone and shown you, hey, I'm actually going to do really well this bull market. And then what they've done is they pull back to a nice healthy point to give reasonable entries. WorldCoin, for example. WorldCoin just had a digital asset treasury company created for it by Monster, a public stock market company in the US. It basically have given the green light for their investors to come and invest in WorldCoin, something that previously, outside of bull markets, nobody had the access to do. Nobody really wanted to touch crypto because it was too risky. Lots of people with lots of money are now finding new avenues, new ways to be able to buy into Bitcoin through things like MicroStrategy and whatever else, ETFs, also Ethereum, Solana's, and now coins like WorldCoin have their own digital asset treasury companies. This shot the price up like 2 or 3x. Everyone was wondering, how do I get into this coin around here? Prices pull back once we've seen a nice healthy pullback like that. And as you can see, they're pulling back into a kind of zone, previous area of resistance, which is here. Typically, previous areas of resistance flip and turn into support. The market right now looks as good as it's ever looked. In fact, it probably looks better because now everything is looking healthier in terms of price. And a lot of the deep in coins as well, like Peak, which we talked about the other day, have actually barely seen much of a pullback at all. Okay, so actually a lot of these coins might have seen a little bit of a pullback in the last day or two, but really they've shown you their strength. They've shown you that when the market is starting to play ball, they're ready to push things up much higher. They're giving you a second chance right now in this current market situation. Now, jumping out and looking at another chart that has me pretty interested in where things are going. This is the total 2 chart, which is the crypto market minus Bitcoin. Effectively, it's the altcoins. This is a cup and handle pattern. You can see kind of like a coffee cup. And this basically shows you that we are at the very final stages of the breakout from this. Now, this pattern goes all the way back to the previous bull market top back in November of 2021. And the price target for this is basically from the top of this pattern, which starts there, all the way down to the bottom of this price action. You can then take that up to the top of where we would expect it to break out from. And you can see that that brings us somewhere just under $3 trillion. That is the entire altcoin market doing a 2x. Now, that might not sound like much, but that is an insane amount of money, considering that Ethereum is already nearing its likely kind of end of bull market price, somewhere up into kind of the $7,000 to $9,000 range. Obviously, that's just my kind of identifying when I think it's going to top. But in general, I don't really expect Bitcoin or Ethereum to go a huge amount higher because they've already seen the majority of their bull market. And all those people down below will be like, oh, well, which bull market or what bull market? Ha ha ha. The bull market that started for Bitcoin at $15,000, $16,000. Okay, Bitcoin now sits $100,000 higher than that, pretty much. Okay, Ethereum went all the way down to a whopping $885. And right now it sits 5 or 6x higher than that. So yeah, in the short term, things are pretty choppy, and Ethereum had probably one of the choppiest rides of them all and has now shown you what it's prepared to start doing. In the past altcoin season, we go Bitcoin, we go Ethereum, then we go down into the altcoins. Things are looking good. Okay, Solana has been playing catch up on Ethereum. I still think it's going to see continuation. And what else can we see? If we go to the others chart, and this is one that's definitely worth paying attention to, this is the altcoins outside the top 10. You can see that it has broken down out of support here. Pretty much faked out the market, in my opinion. Does it come down lower? Potentially, but I don't really anticipate much more fear being created across the markets. Already people are panicking like crazy, and the markets are so high. This just tells me how much higher this market can go just because of how panicked normal people are out there. Okay, this is more than likely going to bounce in and around this area somewhere, and the next candle is more than likely going to be aggressive towards the upside. This has been happening time and time again. There's no reason to panic. We haven't seen crazy euphoria bull market top signals. Okay, not even in December, where things got very exciting, did we even see any major top signals forming. Okay, there is tons of different top signals that you can rely on across the board, and none of them have been showing. People still don't know where we're at. And if you look at the Wall Street cheat sheet, which is called the cheat sheet because it tells you how markets actually work, and this time is not different, it's the same every single time, and it's been true for hundreds of years in markets. It tells you right now that some people are in denial and some people are hopeful and excited, and that should tell you that we have all of the excitement still ahead of us. Okay, we have just had interest rate cuts. We will likely see more interest rate cuts. Later on today, I believe, we're going to see a speech from the FOMC chair, Jerome Powell. We're going to see various different pieces of data and whatever stacking up over the next few weeks that are going to tell you that we need to see more rate cuts. Why do we need to see more rate cuts? Because basically all of the economies are pretty much broken. They've all been borrowing way too much money. They're like 4x global GDP per year in debt right now. Okay, you can't get out of that without kind of paving over the cracks. And the only way they pave over the cracks is to print tons and tons more money. This creates risk-on conditions, and that's what crypto loves. Okay, Does the bull market finish in December? Does it finish in January or February? I mean, right now it's September. I couldn't care less. All I'm looking at is sentiment indicators. I genuinely believe you barely even need to look at charts. You can go and look at the sentiment in different conversations to understand where we are and how much further we've got to run. Now, guys, if you got this far through the video and you want to just be able to kind of keep measured, keep things calm, and stick to your game plan, understand a little bit more about what's driving the crypto market so that you can have a bit more conviction in your trading, then make sure you subscribe to the House of Crypto, notification bell turned on. Also, since I'm pretty busy at the moment, because obviously I've got Korea Blockchain Week right now, and then next week I'm going to go to Singapore for Token 2049, a lot of the time I might not be able to post so much on YouTube, but I'll be able to post much more on Twitter. So make sure you follow me, Peter_THOC. I'm going to be meeting up with various different teams like Sui, like Aether, and a bunch of others. And if I find any sort of insight or anything going on behind the scenes that no one's really publicly talking about that I think can help you, I'm going to be posting it over here on Twitter. So make sure you give me a follow over there. Now, guys, if you want to go and pick up any crypto or anything like that, then go and use one of the 2 or 3 exchanges that I list down below. WEEX, Bitunix, these different exchanges allow you to trade huge amounts of different coins, small cap, mid cap coins, and it's not restrictive on wherever you live in the world. So that if you're traveling a lot like me, it makes sense to be able to use these exchanges. Now, not only that, but they also have some of the lowest fees across crypto, which makes them pretty useful for being able to trade with. If you want to be able to buy small mid cap coins, once the bull market starts charging on once more, which only really sort of stopped charging on like a week or so ago, everyone seems to have completely forgotten about that. But, you know, eventually you're going to start wanting to get back into those coins. Those coins you can pick up on these types of exchanges. You're not going to find them on the Coinbases, Binance, etc., because those exchanges are very expensive for new projects to get onto. Now, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. Make sure you smash that like button. Let me know down below. Are you panicking? If not, happy days. If you're buying new coins, what are you buying? Let me know what other things you want me to talk about on this channel. Thanks for watching. Have a great week, and I'll see you very soon in another video. Bye-bye.